last call and a fair warning. At 32,800 Rand, it is going once. At 32,800 Rand, it is going twice. At 34. At 34, at 36, who's got 37? At 36 now, you go 37 at 6, who's got 7? Look at that coin. It is stunning, ladies and gents. At 37,000. At 37 now, you go 39. At 37, will you go 39 at 7, who's got 9 at 7 now? The last call and fair warning. At 37,600 Rand, it is going once. At 37,600 Rand, it is going twice. And if there is no advance bid, at 37,600, yeah, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 10 this evening is an 1892 ZAR double shaft half point Thunder Spay collection. It's an MS 61. Currently bidding at 22,000 Rand. This coin catalogues at over 50,000 Rand in an uncirculated condition, ladies and gents. It's a big, big, big coin. And if you want all of your ZAR coins in mid-state, here's an 1892 half point for you. At 22,800, can I get 23? At 22,800, now they go 23,600 at 800, a bit down, don't lose it for 800 Rand. At 22,800, let's get to that 23,600 now. A last call and fair warning. At 22,800 Rand, it is going once. At 22, at 23 now. At 23, will you go 24? At 24,400, let's get to 25,200 now. At 800, a bit down, what do you say? At 25,200, at 25,200, let's make it round at 26,000. At 25,200, let's make it round at 26 at 26 now. At 26,000 now, you go 26,800. At 26,000, can we get 26,800 now? Last call and fair warning. At 26,000 Rand, it is going once. At 26,000 Rand, it is going twice at 26,800. Thank you very much. I've got 26,800 now, you go 27,600. At 26,800 now, you go 27,600 Rand. Last call and fair warning, ladies and gents. At 26,800 Rand, it is going once. At 26,800 Rand, it is going twice. And if there's no advance bid, at just 26,800 Rand, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 11 this evening is an 1892 ZAR single shaft point. It's so nice to see these old Sangs ladles, just to show you how far they've come. Their new slabs are really impressive. So this here is an 1892 ZAR single shaft point. It's an XF40 in condition. This coin, as we know, is the more scarce of the two varieties. In the Ponda, obviously you have the single and double shaft variety. The single in the Pont is the more scarce variety, while in the 5 shilling it's the opposite way around. All right, let's get the bidding rolling here. This coin catalogues at over 31,000 Rand in a VF condition and at over 150,000 Rand in an EF condition. We're currently bidding at 24,400 Rand. Can we get up to 25,200? At 24,400 now, you go 25,200. At 24,400, we're just over the gold price here. Will you go 25,200 at 4 now? Last call and fair warning. This is a scarce coin, ladies and gents. And looking at the photos, it is just as beautiful. At 24,400 Rand, it is going once. It is going twice. Ladies and gents, this is going to be the bargain of the night. At 24,400 Rand at 5 now. At 25,200, can I get 26 at 6? Who's got 26,800? At 26,000 now, you go 26,800 at 26 now. Last call and fair warning. Ladies and gents, this is the single shaft for the bargain of the night here. 26,000 Rand, it is going once. At 26,800, at 27,600, who's got 29 now? At 27,600 now, you go 29,200 at 7 now. The last call. I'm going to go fair warning again. Still below VF catalogue price. I repeat, VF at 27,600 Rand. It is going once, twice, and if there's no further advance, I'm going to have to sell it, ladies and gents, at 27,600 Rand. Here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 12 this evening is an 1898 Pont. Yes, it's in mint state. At 19,000 Rand current bid, this coin catalogues at over 25,000 Rand in mint state. Let's see what we can do. It is NGC graded. At 19,400, can I get 20,200? I've got 19,400 now. You go 20,200. At 19,400, 20,200. Who's got 21,000? At 20,200 now, I need 21,000. Let's make it round at 21 now. Last call at 20,200. I got a fair warning on the board at 20,200 going once, at 20,200 Rand going twice. Ladies and gents, is there no advance at 20,200 Rand? Yeah, it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. All right, lot number 13 this evening. It's a big one. It's one that doesn't need an introduction whatsoever. It is a 1967 Krugerrand. This one is a MS65 PL. Stunning grade on this coin, especially for it being such an iconic year, first year, key date of the gold Krugerrand. Currently bidding at 84,000 Rand. We need an advance to 86,000 Rand. At 84 now, you go 86. At 84, will you go 86 at 84? Who's got 6 at 4 now? Last call and fair warning. At 84,000 Rand, it is going once. At 84,000 Rand, it is going twice. If there's no advance bid, I'm going to sell it here at 84,000. It's sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 14 this evening is a 1969 South African or 1 ounce gold Krugerrand. As you all know, the 68s and 69s are super collectible. Very nice coins. This is a PF64 UC. UC standing for the Ultra Cameo. Very nice to see these coins being Ultra Cameo. At 81,500 Rand now. Can I get up to 82.5? I've got 81,500 now. You go 82.5 at 81 now. At 81,500. Last call and fair warning. At 81.5 going once. At 81.5 going twice. There's no advance. I'm going to sell at 81.5. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 15 this evening is a 2,000 South African gold half ounce Krugerrand. The Krugerrand, it's a Heels collection. This is a partial collar mint error, ladies and gents. It's an MA66 with the partial collar. Partial collaring you'll see on the rim of the coin at 35,500 Rand. Who's going to go 36,000 Rand? We're still below spot here. At 35.5 now, we go 36,000. At 35.5, let's go 36 now. It's a error Krugerrand. At 36 now. At 36, who's got 7? At 36,000, I need 37,000. We're below the gold price here at 7 now. It is a stunning mint error MS66 coin. It's almost unbelievable for this price at 38, who's got 9? At 38,000, I need 39 at 8 now. Last call and fair warning. At 38,000 Rand, it is going once. Ladies and gents, what a bargain. We're going to see a mint error Krugerrand at this price again. At 38,000 Rand, going twice. And if there's no advance bid for just 38,000 Rand, I'm going to have to sell it at 38,000. Yeah, it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. All right, our next lot this evening is lot number 16. It is a 2018 South African gold Krugerrand prestige set, ladies and gents. SA Mint records only 230 of these that ever sold. Our current bid is at 127,000 Rand. We're looking for 128,000. What do you say? At 127 now, we'll go 128. This is 1.85 ounces of gold, even more. So my apologies, ladies and gents. As you can see, the beautiful description we've got there. Our current bid is 127. We need an advance at 128. What do you say? Last call at 127,000 Rand. At 128, at 129, I need 131. At 129,000 now, I need 131,000. At 129,000, I need 131. At 2,000 Rand a bid increment. What do you say? Last call at 129,000. Fair warning. At 129,000 Rand, it is going once. At 131 now. At 131 now, you go 133 at 31. Who's got 3 at 1 now? At 131,000. Last call. At 131,000, we're moving over to a fair warning, ladies and gents. At 131,000 Rand, it is going once. At 131,000 Rand, it is going twice. And if there is no advance bid, at 131,000 Rand, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 17 this evening is a 2019 Gold Krugerrand Remembrance Day Prestige Set. The mintage of this set is just 50. This is the first time we have ever seen this set on auction. The mint made, or the limited edition is 50 of these sets. However, there were only 44 sales ever recorded. Stunning set here. And might be the rarest Krugerrand full privy prestige set like this. All right, our current bid is at 136,000 Rand. Can we get 138,000? At 136 now, you go 138. At 136, who's got 8 at 36 now? Last call and fair warning. Think about it. Think about grading the set. All of them might be top pops. At 138 now. At 138 now, we'll go 140. The rarest Krugerrands you'll ever see. You never know. At 138,000. Have you seen one before? Last call. At 138,000 Rand, I got a fair warning. At 138,000 Rand going once. At 138,000 Rand going twice. And if there's no advance, and we're all done, at 138,000 Rand, I'm going to sell it. At 138,000 Rand it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 18 this evening is a 2010 South African Berlin Gold Krugerrand launch set. We're currently bidding below spot on such a beautiful item at 70,000. Can I get 72? Now I've got 70 now, at 72 now, will you go 74? At 72, at 74, will you go 76? At 76, can I get 78 at 8? Who's got 80,000 Rand? At 78 now, will you go 80 at 80? Who's got 82? At 80,000, I need 82 at 80. Who's got 82 at 80 now? 2,000 a bid now, what do you say? Fair warning. At 80,000 Rand, it is going once. At 80,000 Rand at 82, who's got 84? At 82, who's got 84? At 82, I need 84 now. A last call and fair warning. At 82,000 Rand, it is going once. At 82,000 Rand, it is going twice. And if there's no advance bid, at 82,000 Rand, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 19 this evening is a 2022 South African Krugerrand commemorative felt point set. There were only 200 of these sets. This is set number 113 with a total of 2.1 ounces here. So we're currently bidding below spot, ladies and gents. At 138,000 Rand, can I get 139? At 138 now, we go 39. At 114 now, we go 142. At 140, who's got 42 now? At 140, I need 142 at 140. A last call and fair warning. At 140 Rand, it is 140,000, it is going once. At 140,000, it is going twice. Does no one want it for more? At 140,000? It is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 20 this evening is a 2006 South African Gold Krugerrand. It is an 1892 5-shilling launch set. The set is currently bidding at 69,000 Rand. Can I get 69.5? Make that 70. At 60, at 70 now, will you go 71? At 70,000 now, will you go 71 with just 369 of these sets ever struck? We're putting it spot. Look at that 5-shilling you get with it, ladies and gents. It's 72 now. It's the only way to get that crown there. At 72, will you go 3? Last call and fair warning. At 72,000 Rand, it is going once. At 72,000 Rand, it is going twice. Ladies and gents, I'm about to sell it. Are we all done at 72,000? It is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 21 this evening is a big one. It's one I know a lot of people have been looking forward to. Firstly, you never get to see the 1992 Krugerrands, let alone to see them in prestige sets like the one above. And then to see them in such great condition in the prestige sets is another story. At 152,000 Rand, current bid, 154 now. Can I get up to 156,000? At 156 now. At 156 at 158, who's got 160? At 158,000, it's still a bargain right here, ladies and gents. At 160 now. At 160, will you go 164? At 160, I need 164,000 at 160 now. This is a 1992 Krugerrand Gold Prestige set. Do you know how scarce this set is, ladies and gents? At 164,000, can I get 168? At 168,000, can I get 172? At 172,000, will you go 176? At 172,000, I need 176,000 at 2 now. The last call and fair warning. At 172,000 Rand, it is going once. At 172,000 Rand, it is going twice. And if there's no advance bid, at 172,000. At 176 on the buzzer. I've got 176 now. Who's going to make it an even? 180,000. At 180,000 now, can I get 184? At 180,000 now, can I get 184,000 at 180? Last call and fair warning. At 180,000 Rand, it is going once. At 180,000 Rand, it is going twice. If there's no advance bid. At 180,000 Rand, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 22 this evening is a 1923 South African silver 2.5 shilling. It is in mint state. Currently bidding at 2,000 Rand. Do I have an advance at 2-2 now? At 2,000, will you go 2-2 at 200 a bit now? What do you say at 2-2? Who's got 4? At 2,200, can I get 2-4 at 2-2 now? Last call and fair warning. At 2,200 Rand going once at 4. Who's got 6? I've got 2,400. Will you go 2-6 at 4 now? Last call and fair warning. At 2,400 going once. At 2,400 going twice. There's no advance bid. At 2,400 Rand it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 23 this evening is a 1924 South African 2.5 shilling. It is a monster of a grade. It's an MS63 plus coin. Catalogue value on this coin is over 4,500 Rand. This is the third highest grade at NGC. At 2.5, can I get 2.7? I've got 2.5. Will you go 7 at 7 now? At 2.7, will you go 2.9 at 7? Who's got 9 at 7 now? A last call and fair warning. At 2.9 now. At 2.9, will you go 3.1 at 2.9? Who's got 3.1? Last call and fair warning. At 2.9 going once. At 3.1. At 3.1, will you go 3.3? At 3.3, who's got 3.7? At 3.3, who's got 3.7 now? At 3.7, will you go 4.1? At 3.7, will you go 4.1 at 3.7 now? At 4.1, will you go 4.5? And let's get to that catalogue price. It's a choice uncirculated coin here, an MS63 plus. At 4.1 now, last call and fair warning. At 4,100 Rand at 4.5 now, will you go 4.9? At 4.1 now, will you go 4.9? At 4.1, will you go 9? Last call and fair warning. At 4,500 Rand, it is going once. At 4,500 Rand, it is going twice. There's no advance. At 4.5. At 4.9 on the buzzer. At 4.9, will you go 5.3? At 4.9, will you go 5.3 at 9? Who's got 3 at 4.9 now? Last call and fair warning. At 4.9 going once. At 4.9 going twice. If there's no advance bid. At 4.9 now. It's sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 24 this evening is a 1959 South African 5 shilling. This time it is an MS64 coin. Currently bidding at 7,500 Rand. We need 7.7 here. Who's got an advance? At 7.5 now, we go 200 more, make it 7.7 at 5. Who's got 7 now? A last call and fair warning. At 7.5 going once. At 7.5 going twice. If there's no advance bid, at just 7,500 Rand. Yeah, it is 7.7. At 7.7 now, we go 9 at 9. Who's got 1 at 8.1? At 7.9 now, will you go 8.1 at 7.9? Last call at 8.1. At 8.1, will you go 8.3? At 8.1, will you go 3 at 1 now? Last call and fair warning. At 8,100 going once. At 8,100 going twice. At 8.3 now. At 8.3, I need 8.7. At 8.3, I need 8,700. At 3, I need 7. At 400 a bit now. What do you say? Fair warning. At 8,300 going once. At 8,300 going twice. If there's no advance bid at 8,300 Rand, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 25 this evening is a 1959 South African gold half pound. If you're a 59 collector, you need one of these in your set. It's a beautiful grade of a PH65. Let's see what we can do here at 8,100 Rand. We're bidding at about spot price. Who's got 8.5? Think of grading costs alone. At 8.5, will you go 9, 8.9? Who's got 9, 3 at 3? Who's got 9, 7 at 9, 3? I need 7 at 3. Who's got 7 now? Last call at 9.3. I'm going to move over to a fair warning at 9,300 at 9.7. Who's got 10.1 now? At 10 at 9.7. I need 10.1 at 400 a bit down. What do you say? Last call at 9.7. Fair warning at 9,700 Rand. It is going once. At 9,700 Rand. It is going twice. If there's no advance, are we all done at 9,700 at 10.1 on the buzzer? At 10.1, can I get 10.5 at 10.1? Who's got 5 at 1 now? At 10,100. Last call. I'm moving over to a fair warning at 10.1 going once, going twice. If there's no advance at 10.5. At 10,500 now. At 10.5, will you go 10.9 at 400 a bit now? We've got the increment. Last call. I'm giving a fair warning at 10.5 at 10.5. It is going once. at 10,500. Going twice. If there's no advance bid at 10,500 rand, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 26 this evening is a 1959 South African £1. This is the full pound of it. And it is a PF64 in grade. 66, my apologies. Wow. That is the third highest grade at NGC. There's only a few ever graded higher. At 18,200 at 18.6 now. Can we get up to 19,000? At 19 now. At 19, who's got 19.4? We're below gold at 19. Will you go forward 9 now? Last call and fair warning. At 19,000 rand going once. At 19,000 rand it is going twice. And if there's no advance, guys, I'm going to sell here at 19.4. Here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 27 this evening is an 1892 ZAR gold pound. It is a double shaft, being an MS62 coin. It's a very big grade here. This coin catalogues at over 90,000 rand in an uncirculated condition. We're currently bidding at 30,000 rand. Can we get up to 32 now? At 31 now, will you go 32? At 31,215 rand, I need 32,250 at 1 now. Last call and fair warning. At 31, at 32, who's got 33? At 3, who's got 4 now? At 33, will you go 34? At 33, who's got 4? At 4, who's got 5? At 34,000. At 35, I need 36 at 5, who's got 6 at 5 now? Last call and fair warning. At 35,000 rand, it is going once. At 35,000 rand, it is going twice. Ladies and gents, are we sure? Are we all done? At 35,000? No more bids? Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 28 this evening is an 1893 South African gold half point. It is the Farouk collection. This is the big one for the night, ladies and gents. I know how forward so many people have been looking to this lot. It has the pedigree of the biggest South African coin known, the single 9. King Farouk was the owner of one of the largest numismatic collections in the world. Please do read up on our bit of a description there, because this is history in the making, pedigree like no other coin we've ever sold. Let's see what we can do. We are currently bidding at 140,000 rand. I need an advance to get to 144,000. At 140 now, will you go 144 at 4? Who's got 148,000? At 144, I need 48 at 4 at 4. Who's got 48? At 144,000 at 4,000 a bid now. Who's got 148,000? Look at that pedigree. Do you know who he was? It was King Farouk. Fair warning. At 144,000 rand, it is going once. At 144,000 rand, it is going twice. At 148. At 148,000 now, can I get 152? At 148,000 now, can I get 152,000 at 148 now? At 148,000. At 152 now. At 152 now, can I get 156? At 152,000, who's got 156 at 2 at just 4,000 rand an increment here? This is pedigree like no other, ladies and gentlemen. Fair warning. At 152,000 rand, it is going once. At 152,000 rand, going twice. At 156 on the buzzer. At 156 now, can I get 160,000? At 156,000 now, can I get 160 at 156 now? Last call and fair warning. At 156,000 rand, it is going once. At 160. At 160 now, will you go 164,000? At 160, will you go 164? At 160, will you go 164 at 4,000 rand a bit now? What do you say? I got a last call on the board. I've got a fair warning on the board. At 160,000 rand, it is going once. At 164. At 164, can I get 168? At 164, will you go 168 at 4? Who's got 8? The last call and fair warning. At 168,000. At 168, can I get 176? At 168,000 now, who's got 176,000? This is a coin that you might never get to see again. At 168,000, a last call and fair warning. At 168,000 rand, it is going once. At 168,000 rand, it is going twice. And ladies and gents, for just one more swipe, it could be yours. And at 168,000 rand, it is Sold. Well done to our winner. Lot 29 this evening is an 1874 South African 1 penny. It's an Orange Free State PF65 BN coin. It's a massive coin. Currently bidding at 12,200 at 13,000. Can I get 13.4? I've got 13,000 now. At 13.4, at 13.8 now you go 14.2 at 14.6. Who's got 15.4? At 14,600 now I need 15.4 at 14.6 at 15.4 now. At 15,400 will you go 16.2? At 15.4 will you go 16.2 at 15 at 16 will you go 17 now. At 17,000 Rand now will you go 17.8. There's only 2 coins ever graded in higher grade here. This is a big one, guys. At 17,800 now you go 18.6. Last call and fair warning. At 17,800 Rand going once. At 17,800 at 18.6 will you go 19.4 now. At 18.6 will you go 19.4 at 18.6 now. Last call and fair warning. At 18,600 going once. At 18,600 going twice. If there's no advance bid at 18,600 it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 30 this evening is an 1888 Orange Free State pattern penny. It's a PF64. However, please note, this is a red brown. Very nice to see. Currently bidding at 12,400 Rand. It has an uncirculated or proof catalogue value of 17,000. At 12,400, can I get 12.8? At 12.4 now, you go 12.8 at 4. Who's got 8 at 4 now? And last call and fair warning. At 12,400 Rand, it is going once. At 12,400 Rand at 12.8, will you go 13.2? At 12.8, will you go 13.2 at 400 a bit now? Last call. I got a fair warning on the board once more. At 12,800 going once. At 12,800 Rand, it is going twice. And if there's no advance bid, ladies and gents, at just 12,800 Rand, I'm going to have to sell it. At 12,800 at 13.2. At 13.2 now, can I get 14,000? At 13.2, can I get 14,000 now? At 13,200, I've got a last call on the board. At 13,200 Rand going once. At 13,200 Rand going twice. And if there's no advance bid, at 14,000. At 14 now, can I get 14,800? At 14.8 now, will you go 15.6? At 14.8 now, will you go 15.6 at 14.8 now? The last call and fair warning. At 14,800 Rand going once. At 14,800 Rand going twice. And if there's no advance, at 14,800 Rand, then it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 31 this evening is an 1890 South African penny. It's PF64. Once again with that beautiful RB. RB standing for the red brown there. Currently our bid is in at 10,100 Rand. This point catalogues at over 17,000 Rand. Can I get 10,900? At 10.1 now, will you go 10.9? At 10.1 will you go 9? At 10.1 at 800 a bid now, what do you say? At 10.9 now. At 10,900 now, can I get 11.7? 11.7, who's got 12.5? At 11.7 will you go 12.5? At 11.7 now. The last call and fair warning. At 12.5 now. At 12.5 will you go 13.3? At 12.5 will you go 13.3? At 12.5 now. Last call. At 12.5. At 13.3 now. At 13.3 at 14.1 will you go 14.9 at 1? Who's got 9 at 1 now? At 800 a bit now. Don't lose it for that. Last call and fair warning. At 14,000 Rand going once. At 14.9 now. At 14.9 can I get 15.7? At 15.7 will you go 16.5 at 15.7 now. Last call and fair warning. At 15,700 Rand going once. At 15,700 Rand it is going twice. Below catalogue, yeah. Beautiful proof penny. Anyone want it? At 15,700 it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 32 this evening. Here's a big one. It's one of my favorite coins of the evening because it is a Veldpond. This coin catalogues at over 125,000 Rand in a VF condition. We all know the story of how these coins came about. For me, that's fascinating and some of my favorite numismatic items. At 85,500 Rand, Can I get 89,500 Rand? At 85.5 now, will you go 89? At 85, will you go 89 at 5 now? Excuse me. At 85,000, last call and fair warning. At 85,000 Rand, it is going once. At 89. At 89 now, will you go 93? At 93, can I get 97 at 3 at 4,000 a bit increment? At 93 now, last call. At 93,000 Rand, I got a fair warning on the board. At 93,500 Rand, it is going once. At 93,500 Rand, it is going twice. And if there's no advance, at 93,500 Rand, are we sure, ladies and gents? At 93,500? Yeah, it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Our next lot this evening is lot number 33. It's a 1931 South African proof 2 shilling coin. It's a PF64. This is a big coin, ladies and gents. We all know how scarce these 1931 proof coins are. This is one of just 62 coins ever minted. One of just 62 coins ever minted. It's got a catalogue value of over 60,000 Rand. Can I get up to 18? And bits are flying through here at 18.2, at 19,000, 19.8 now at 20,000 Rand. At 20,600 now at 21.4, will you go 22,000? At 22.2, at 23 now, will you go 23,800? At 23, at 24 now, will you go 26? At 24,600, can I get 26,200 Rand? At 26.2 now. At 27,800. At 29.4. At 29.4, will you go 31,000? At 21, at 29.4, at 31 now. At 31, at 32, will you go 34.2 now? At 32,600. This is a big coin. It's a 1931 proof coin. At 34.2 now. At 34,200 now, you go 35 at 5. Who's got 7 at 5 now? At 35,000, I need 37 at 5. Who's got 7? Last call and fair warning. At 35,800 at 37.4. At 37,400 at 39 now. Can we get over 40,000 Rand here? At 40,000. At 40,600, I need an advance at 43. At 40,600 now, I need an advance to 43,000 Rand. Ladies and gents, this is a proof 2 shilling from 1931. It's a PF64. It is a stunning grade. At 40,600. Fair warning. At 40,600 Rand going once. At 40,600 going twice. There's no advance for 40,000 Rand. Here it is. Sold. Well done to your winner. Lot 34 is a 2016 1 ounce silver orange breasted sunbird. We all know this is the most scarce of the colorized series. If you get a 70, or if you get this coin graded and you get a 70 on it, it is worth a few cents. At 4,300 Rand, can we get an advance to 4.7 at 5.1? Can we go 5.5? I've got 5.5 now to go 5.9. At 5.5 now to go 5.9 at 5.5. Who's got 9 at 5 now? Last call. At 5,500. I got a fair warning on the board. At 5,500 Rand, it is going once. At 5,500 Rand, it is going twice. Guys, this is the orange breasted sunbird. At 5.9. At 5.9, can we get 6.3 now? At 5.9, will he go 6.3? At 5.9, will he go 6.3? At 5.9 now. And a last call and fair warning. At 5,900 Rand going once. At 5,900 Rand going twice. If there's no advance bid, for 5,900 Rand it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 35 this evening is an 1820 gold mohair. It's from the Fame Shipwreck. This is an ungraded one. Currently bidding at 15,600 Rand. Please remember, guys, that this coin is 11.6 grams of 0.917 gold. So, yes, this is under spot right now. At 19,200 Rand, can we get up to 20,000? At 19.2 now, will you go 20,000? At 20 now, will you go 20,800? At 20,000 now, will you go 20,800? At 20,000? Last call. At 20,800. At 20,800. At 21,600. Can I get 22.4? At 21.6, will you go 22.4? At 22.4, will you go 23.2? At 1,000 a bit, yeah. Last call. At 23.2 now. Can we get an even 24,000 at 24 now? At 24,000 now, will you go 24,800? At 24,800 now, Can I get 25.6 at that now? Who's got 26.4? At 26,400 now. Can we get 27? At 27 now, we go 28 to 28. Who's got 28,800 rand? At 28,800 at 29 now. The bids are flying through. At 30,000 now. Can I get 32,000? At 30,000 now, we go 32 at 30. Will you go 32 at 30 now? Last call and fair warning. At 30,000 rand, it is going once. At 30,000 rand, it is going twice. Ladies and gents, if there's no advance, at 30,000 rand, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Our next lot 36 this evening. It's an 1874 pattern penny. It is a top pop coin. You heard that right. This is a top pop, ladies and gentlemen. This coin catalogues at 17,000 rand in uncirculated condition. However, this is the finest known of all of these patterns. So if you're into your pattern pennies, please don't miss this one tonight. This is the finest known of the 1874 1 penny. All right, the bids are flying through here at 16,800 at 17.6. Can I get up to 19.2 now? At 17,600 now, we go 19.2 at 17.6. Who's got 19,000 at 19.2? At 20,800 now, will you go 22? At 20,800 now, I need 22,000 at 20,800 now. It is a top pop coin, ladies and gents. At 22,400, at 24,000, at 24,000 now, you go 25.6 at 24. Who's got 5 at 4 now? Last call and fair warning. At 24,000 rand, it is going once. At 24,000 rand, it is going twice. At 25 now. At 25 now, can I get 27? At 27, will you go 28 to 27? Who's got 8 at 7 now? The last call and fair warning. At 27,200 rand going once. At 27,200 rand going twice. Ladies and gents, do we have no advance? At 27,200 rand. Here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 37 this evening is an 1874 South African 2p. It is a bronze MS64 BN, catalogues at 17,000 rand. It's an estimated mintage of just 50 pieces ever struck. Our current bid is at 10,000 at 11,000 rand. Can we get 11.4? At 11,400 now, at 11.8, who's got 12.2? At 11.8 at 12.2, who's got 13,000 now? At 12.2 at 13, will you go 13.8 at 13? Will you go 13.8 now? At 13,800 at 14.6, can we get 15.4? At 14,600 now, I need 15.4 at 15.4. Who's got 16.2? At 16.2, will you go 17,000? Last call. At 16,200. At 17 now. At 17 at 17,800 now, you go 18.6. At 17.8 now, you go 18.6 at 17.8 now. Last call and fair warning. At 17,800 at 18.6, can I get 19.4? At 18.6, will you go 19.4 at 18.6 now? Last call. At 18,600. I'm moving over to a fair warning. At 18,600 going once. Going twice. And if there's no advance, at 18,600 rand. Here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 38 this evening is the 1888 South African 1 penny. It is the OFS KMPN 13 bronze. It's PF 65. Alright, what is so special about this coin is that there's only been one example ever graded in a higher grade. This is the second finest known at 12.6, 13.6. Can we get 14,000? At 14.4, will you go 15.2 now? At 16,000 now, will you go 16.8? At 17.6, can I get 18.4 now? At 17,600, I got 19.2. Who's got an even 20,000? At 19.2, can I get an even 20 at 19.2 now? Last call and fair warning. At 20,000. At 20,000 now, can I get 20,800? At 20,000 now, can I get 20,800? Last call. At 20,000. Fair warning. At 20,000 rand going once. At 20,000 rand going twice. If there's no advance bid for 20,000 rand. Here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 39 this evening is an 1889 South African 1 penny. It is the bronze ex-Remick collection. Big collector. Nice and scarce. Only a mintage of 100 of these pieces ever struck. estimated mintage. This coin catalogues at over 30,000 Rand. Let's see what we can do. We're bidding at 10,800. Can I get 11.2? At 10,800 now. At 10,800 now. Will you go 11.2 at 10.8 now? Will you go 11.2? The last call and fair warning. At 10,800 Rand, it is going once. At 10,800 Rand, it is going twice. And for the bargain of the night here, at 10,800, we're going to sell it. At 10,800 Rand, it is 11.2 on the buzzer. Well done. At 11.2 now, can I get 12,000? At 11.2 now, can I get 12,000 at 800 a bid at 12? Now you go 12.8 at 12. Who's got 12,800? Last call at 12,000. Fair warning. At 12,000 Rand going once. At 12,800, can I get 13.6? At 13.6 now you go 14.4 at 13.6. Who's got 14.4 here? Last call and fair warning. At 13,600 Rand, it is going once. At 13,600 Rand, it is going twice. And if there's no advance bid, at 13,600 Rand, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 40 this evening is an 1890 South African penny. It's a pattern penny, of course, again. It's PF64. This coin catalogues at 17,000 Rand with only 6 coins to ever grade and higher grade. Scarce stuff here, guys. At 11,600 Rand, current bid. Can we get 12.4? At 11.6 now, 12.4 now, we go 13.2 at 2, who's got 14,000. At 14, will he go 14.8? At 14.8 now, we go 15.6 at 14.8 now. Last call at 14,800. I'm moving over to fair warning at 14,800 Rand now, going once. At 14,800 Rand now, going twice at 15.6. At 15,600 now, we go 16.4. At 15.6, will he go 16.4 at 15.6 now? The last call and fair warning. At 15,600 Rand, it is going once. Going twice. And if there's no advance bid at 15,600 Rand, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 41 this evening is an 1896 gold pound. It's an AU 55 in grade. Currently bidding at 17,000 Rand. This coin in EF catalogues at 45,000. Let's see what we can do here. At 17 now, you go 17.4. At 17. Last call at 17,000. We're moving over to fair warning at 17.8. At 17,800 now, you go 18.2. Last call at 17,800. At 18.2 now. At 18.2 now, can I get 19,800 a bid? Yeah, what do you say? Last call at 18.2. Fair warning at 18,200 Rand going once. Going twice, ladies and gents. Is there no advance for 18,200 Rand? Here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Just before I do get on to the next lot, I'd just like to remind you that we do have daily auctions. Besides a Friday, it's the only day we don't have an auction. Do check out all of our other auctions. Our next weekend wonder for next week Sunday has been published. So please do check it out. And then be on the lookout over the next couple hours. You will also see our next signature auction. So some amazing lots coming up for the end of next month. Looking really forward to that one already. With that being said, we are on a stunning medallion here. One that we've actually never had on auction before. Quite intrigued to see how this one goes and what it goes for. Currently bidding at 2,450 Rand. We need 2,800 at 8 now. Who's got 3.2? At 3,200 now, you go 3.6 at 3.2. You go 6 at 2 now. Last call and fair warning. At 3,200 Rand, it is going once. At 3,200 Rand, it is going twice. Ladies and gents, is that it? At 3.6. At 3.6 at 4,000. At 4,000 now, will you go 4,800 at 4? Will you go 4.8 at 4? Who do you say at 4.8 now? Last call and fair warning. At 4,000 Rand going once. Have you seen this before? At 4,000 Rand going twice. And if there's no advanced bid for 4,000, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 43 this evening is a 2008 Mandela 90th birthday PF69 Ultra Cameo medallion. The center of this medallion is half an ounce of gold at 31,750 Rand, our current bid. Can we get to 32,250? At 31,750 now, we go 32,250. At 31,700, the last call and fair warning. At 31,750 Rand going once. At 32 now. At 32 now, will you go 32,700? At 32,700, who's got 33,700? At 32,700, we had 1,000 Rand a bid. Yeah, what do you say? Last call and fair warning. At 32,750 Rand, it is going once. At 33. At 33 now, can I get 34? At 33, will you go 34 with 3? Who's got 4? Last call and fair warning. At 33,000 Rand going once. 33 going twice. There's no advance bid. For 33,000 Rand, here it is. Sold. Sorry, we had a last second bid that did come in there. We have to give everybody a fair shot. At 34,750, we're going to move over to last call and fair warning once more. At 34,750 Rand going once, going twice, and if there's no advance bid for 34,750 Rand, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 45, that's 44 this evening, is a Griquatown half pence. It is an AU50 coin. You don't get to see these coins, not even in a terrible condition. They just never pop up for sale. This is your precursor to your ZAR. So this is really nice. 55,000 Rand catalogue value in UNC and 27,500 in EF. Just to see it is a big deal. You never ever get to see these Griquatowns. All right. Currently betting at 18, at 19, 6 of it are flying through. Can we get to 20,400? At 21.2 now, can you go 22.8 at 22,800 now? At 24,400 at 26 now. At 26,000 now, will you go 27? At 27,600 now, at 29.2. At 29,200 now, you go 30,800. At 30,800 now. At 32,400 now, you go 34. At 32.4, will you go 34 at 2? Who's got 4 at 2 now? Last call and fair warning. At 32,400 Rand going once. At 32,400 Rand going twice. Ladies and gents, is there no advance bid? At 32,400 Rand it is. Sold. Well done to your winner. Lot number 45 this evening is super scarce with a capital S, ladies and gents. These are, well, we initially thought 1 of 12, but it turns out 1 of 10 ever minted. This is an AU55 example with just 10, guys, with a fewer than 10 surviving specimens noted. Okay, very impressive. Very low mintage here. Let's see what we can do. Our current bid is up to 6,200 Rand. If there's any lot on the auction I could have this evening, this would be it. At 7,800 now, will you go 8.6? At 8.6 at 9.4, will you go 10,200? At 9.4, I need 10.2 at 11,000. Now the bids are flying through here. At 11,000. At 11,000 and 11,811, will you go 11.8 at 12.6? Who's got 13.4? At 14.2 now, will you go 15.8? At 14.2, I need 15,800 at 14.2. Who's got 15,800? Last call and fair warning. At 15,800 now. At 15,800 now, will you go 17.4? At 15.8 now, will you go 17.4 at 15,800? Last call. At 15,800. Fair warning. At 15,800, your chance is going once. It's going twice. And if there's no advance bid for 15,800 Rand, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Sold. Well done to your winner. Lot 46 this evening, guys. Here's a 1977 half cent. It is an MS65 red brown. One of just 10 of these coins ever minted. It is in a perfect 65 red brown mint state. This coin is hen's teeth, ladies and gentlemen. I highly doubt you will ever see one of these up for sale in the near future again. At 10,200 Rand for the bargain of the night this far. At 13.4, the bids are flying in. At 16,600 Rand, can I get up to 18,200? At 19,800 Rand now. At 19,800, will you go 21.4? At 21.4, at 23, now you go 24. At 23, will you go 24? At 23, will you go 4? At 3, who's got 6? At 23,000. At 26,000 now, will you go 29? At 26 now, will you go 29? At 29 now, will you go 32,000 Rand? At 29, can we get to 32 at 5 now? At 35,800 Rand now. At 35.8, will you go 39 at 35? Who's got 39 now? Last call. At 35,800 Rand. Fair warning. At 35,800, at 42,200, at 42,200 Rand now, will you go 48,600? At 48,600 now, can I get 55,000? At 55 now, will you go 61? At 55,000 now, will you go 61? At 55, I need 61 at 5. Who's got 6 now? Last call and fair warning. At 55,000 Rand, it is going once. At 55,000 Rand, it is going twice. Is there no advance? Will you get this opportunity again? At 55,000 Rand, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. You really have something special there. I'm envious. All right, lot 47 this evening is a 1949 South African short proof set. Currently bidding at 8,300 Rand. We need an advance to 8-7. At 8-3 now, you go 8-7 at 7. Who's got 9-1 at 7 now? At 9-1 at 9-5, will you go 9-9 at 9-9? Will you go 10-3? At 9-9, I need 10,300 at 3. Who's got 7 at 3 now? At 10-7. At 10-7 now, you go 11-1 at 1. Who's got 11-5 at 11-1? Will you go 5 at 1 now? Last call at 11-1. Fair warning at 11,100 Rand going once. At 11-1 going twice. There's no advance bid at 11,100 Rand. It is sold. Well done to your winner. Lot 48 this evening is a 1959 South African long proof set, ladies and gents. It is 31,000 at 32,250 the current bid. Can we get up to 33,250 at 1,000 Rand in increment? At 32,250 Rand now, can I get up to 33,000? At 32,250, will you go 33,250 at 32 now? Think of it. It's got the 59 crown in, it's got a full pound and a gold half pound. So here, this is really sitting at just the gold price right now. You're getting the 59 crown for free. At 32,250 going once. At 32,250 Rand going twice. For the bargain of the night, if there's no advance, at 32,250, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 49 this evening is a 1923 South African silver sixpence. This one is an exciting one. It is a top pop coin, ladies and gents. If you can believe it, we've got a top pop coin up for grabs here this evening. And this is a stand-alone top pop. I repeat, stand-alone top pop coin. If you're a 1923 coin collector, no one else will ever be able to compete with you on this because you will be the only person to have a coin in this grade. So for the finest known 1923 silver sixpence known, there's a privilege to sell this coin. Let's see what we can do. At 28,800 Rand is the current bid. Can I get up to 30,400 Rand? At 28,800 now, who's got 30,000 Rand? At 28,800 now, will you go 30,400? At 28,800 now. Last call. At 28,800 at 32 now. At 32 now, will you go 33? At 32, can I get 33 at 32? Who's got 33 now? Last call. At 32,000. I'm going over a fair warning. At 32,000 Rand, it is going once. At 35 now. At 35,200 now, will you go 36,800? At 35.2, let's get to 36.8 here. This is a standalone top pop coin. You don't get any better than this. At 35,200, fair warning. At 35,200 Rand, it is going once. At 35,200 Rand, it is going twice. If there's no advance bid here, ladies and gents, at 35,200 Rand, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 50 this evening is a 1948 penny. It is a top pop penny with that MS66BN designation there, ladies and gents. Really, really stunning top pop coin with none ever graded in a higher grade. If you're a union collector, you know this one's for you. At 3.7, can we get up to 4.1? At 3.7, now you go 4.1. At 3.7, will you go 4.1 at 1? Will you go 4.5 at 4.5 at 9 now? At 4.9, can we get up to 5.3? At 4.9, can we get 5.3 at 4.9 now? Last call and fair warning. At 4,900 Rand, it is going once. At 4,900 Rand, it is going twice. And if there is no advance bid for just 4,900 Rand, here it is. Sold. Well done to the winner. Lot number 51 this evening is a 2000 South African 1 cent Arms with Supporters MS66 red PL stand alone top pop coin. You don't get any better than this. If you're on the registry, you know what this will do. At 1,850 now, will you go 2-2? At 1,850 now, will you go 2-2 at 1-8 now? Last call and fair warning. At 1,850 Rand, it is going once. At 1,850 Rand, going twice. If there's no advance bid for 1,850, yeah, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 52 this evening is a 1995 1 ounce gold Kruger Rand. This is a mint era MS67 clashed dies. How cool is that? At 85,000 Rand, current bid. Can I get an advance to 86? At 85,000 now, you go 86 at 85. Who's got 6 at 5 now? The last call and fair warning. At 85,000 going once. At 85,000 Rand going twice. There's no advance. At 85,000, it is sold. Well done to our winner. Lot 53 this evening is a 1960 Transvaal and Orange Free State Chamber of Mines Golden Jubilee, ladies and gents. This is a Chamber of Mines in gold. It's known as the precursor to the Kruger Rand. It's currently bidding at 70,000 Rand. This is scarce, ladies and gents. At 70,000 Rand, can we get 72? At 72,000 now. At 74, will we go 76 at 74? Who's got 6 at 4 now? Last call and fair warning. At 74,000 Rand, it is going once. At 74,000 Rand, it is going twice. Ladies and gents, if I don't have an advance bid here, at 74,000 Rand, I'm going to have to sell it. Yeah, it is sold. Well done to the winner. Lot 54 this evening is a 1968 South African proof gold Kruger Rand. We know how collectible these 1968s are. Second year of issue for the Kruger Rand. Look at that condition. At 76,000 Rand, at 78 now, can we get 80,000? At 70 now, at 82,000, at 84 now. At 84, can I get 86,000? At 84,000, will you go 86 at 84? Who's got 6? At 86 now. At 86,000, can I get 88? At 88, will you go 90,000 Rand? At 88,000 now, will you go 90? Last call and fair warning. At 88,000 Rand going once. At 88,000 Rand going twice. There's no advance bid. At 88,000 Rand, at 90 on the buzzer. At 90, at 92, will you go 94? At 92, who's got 4 at 2 now? Last call. At 94,000. At 94, will you go 96? At 94, will you go 6 at 4 now? At 96,000. At 96, will you go 98? At 96, will you go 98,000? At 96 now. Last call and fair warning. At 96,000 going once. At 96,000 going twice. If there's no advance bid. At 96,000 Rand. Yeah, it is sold. Well done to your winner. To our winner, should I say. Thank you to everyone for joining us for Signature Auction 25. It was our pleasure. We're looking forward to the next one already. And with that being said, have a fantastic rest of your Sunday evening, and we'll see you tomorrow for Minted Mondays. Cheers for now, everyone.